Imagine trusting the person you share your life with, believing that after an argument, the worst is finally over. You let your guard down, convinced the tensions had passed. Then in a matter of seconds, that trust is turned into the weapon used against you. Some crimes leave scars that eventually fade. Others leave wounds that last a lifetime, not only on the body, but also on the mind. Today's case is one of those stories. We are traveling to Bindura, where a shocking act of intimate partner violence has left many people questioning such cruelty. This is a case involving deception, betrayal, and a level of violence that many people struggle to comprehend. For many people, it wasn't only the brutality of the attack that drew attention. It was also the sentence itself. As details of the case emerged, many were left asking the same question: is the sentence enough for an act that permanently changed another person's life? To understand why this case has generated so much debate, we need to go back nearly 2 weeks earlier. It was the night of July 21, 2026. The couple were at a farm in the agricultural town of Bindura. Like many domestic violence cases, what happened that night reportedly began with an argument. The husband accused his wife of being unfaithful. Arguments between the couples are unfortunately common. They can become emotional, painful, and intense. But the overwhelming majority of disagreements never reach the level of calculated violence that unfolded that evening. According to the facts presented before the court, this was not simply an angry outburst. Instead, the offender allegedly came up with a plan. Rather than walking away from the argument or allowing emotions to cool down, he reportedly decided to deceive his wife. He pretended that the disagreement had ended. He acted as though he wanted to reconcile with her and be intimate. Think about that for a moment. Trust, which should have provided safety, instead became the very thing that exposed the victim to unimaginable harm. Believing the confrontation was over, the woman lowered her guard and allowed him close. She had no reason to believe that someone she loved was about to attack her, but that trust was shattered within seconds. According to court proceedings, while pretending to be affectionate, the offender suddenly grabbed his wife's private parts and used a razor blade to cut off a portion of them. The attack was not only physically devastating, it was deeply humiliating, traumatic, and life-changing. Court proceedings also had that he made chilling remarks, implying that if she had been unfaithful, he would permanently close the shop. Those words have since become one of the most disturbing details of the case, because they suggest the attack was intended not only to injure the person, but also to punish, control, and permanently alter the victim's body. This is one of the reasons cases involving intimate partner violence are so difficult to understand. The violence is often not only about causing pain, it can also be about domination, humiliation, revenge, or exerting control over another human being. Following the assault, emergency services and police were alerted. The victim was rushed for emergency medical treatment because of the seriousness of her injuries. Meanwhile, police arrested the suspect, bringing an end to what could have become an even greater tragedy. When the matter came before the Bindura Magistrate Court, the accused entered a guilty plea. He admitted responsibility for the attack. With the guilty plea entered, the court proceeded to sentencing, ultimately imposing an effective 12-month prison sentence. And this is where the conversation becomes more complex. Whenever we discuss criminal cases on this channel, it is important to remember that the role of the courts is to apply the law based on the charges before them, the available evidence, sentencing guidelines, and the specific circumstances of each case. However, public opinion does not always align with legal outcomes. Many people have questioned whether a 12-month sentence adequately reflects the severity of an assault involving permanent bodily mutilation. Others argue that because every legal system has its own sentencing framework, comparing one case to another is not always straightforward. Regardless of where someone stands on that debate, one fact remains undeniable. The victim will likely live with the physical and psychological consequences of this attack long after the prison sentence has ended. That reality cannot be ignored. Another aspect that has drawn attention is the apparent level of planning involved. According to the court record, the offender allegedly used affection and intimacy to lower the victim's defenses before attacking. If that sequence of events is accepted, it represents something particularly disturbing. It transforms an act that should symbolize trust and emotional closeness into the method used to facilitate violence. That betrayal often leaves emotional wounds that are just as devastating as the physical injuries themselves. Cases involving this type of mutilation are thankfully very uncommon, but history shows they are not entirely without precedent. One of the most widely known cases occurred in the United States in 1993 and involved Lorena Robert. Her case became international news after she severed her husband's penis following years of alleged physical and sexual abuse. The incident sparked worldwide decisions about domestic violence, trauma, marital abuse, mental health, and the legal concept of self-defense. Although the circumstances surrounding that case were very different from the one in Bindura, it demonstrated how acts of genital mutilation with intimate relationships often become the focus of broader conversations about violence, accountability, and justice. Every country has its own legal system, criminal code, and sentencing practices, but comparing these cases highlights why the Bindura sentence has become the subject of so much public discussion. For many observers, the question is no longer whether the terrible crime occurred. The question is whether the justice, as delivered by the court, feels proportionate to the lifelong impact suffered by the victim. Domestic violence often begins in ways that appear ordinary from the outside. An argument, accusations, jealousy, possessiveness, attempts to control another person's movements or relationships. But when those behaviors escalated unchecked, they can lead to devastating consequences. This case serves as another reminder that intimate partner violence is not always limited to punches or bruises. Sometimes it involves calculated acts intended to leave permanent physical and emotional scars. As always, it is important to remember that behind every court case is a real human being, a victim whose life has been permanently changed, a family forced to process unimaginable trauma, and a community left trying to understand how something so horrific could happen between two people who once trusted one another. Whether you believe the sentence was appropriate or too lenient, one thing is certain. This case has reignited an important conversation about accountability, domestic violence, and the protection of victims. Now I'd like to hear from you. Do you believe the 12-month sentence reflected the seriousness of the crime? Or do you think the punishment should have been much harsher? Share your thoughts respectively in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio. Please subscribe.